Good day, boxing fans. What a terrible year it has been for the heavyweights. We've got Fury against Usyk that never happened. We've got Usyk fighting Daniel Dubois that people aren't really that into. We've got AJ not fighting Wilder. We don't know what Wilder is going to do. And it just carries on and on and on. And now we've got Fury fighting Francis Ngannou, a mixed martial arts champ, in a fight that I don't know if it's an official boxing match or an exhibition somewhere in the Arab Emirates. So it has been a bad year for the heavyweights and the hits just keep on coming. Anthony Joshua was supposed to have a rematch against Dillian Whyte this Saturday at O2 Arena in London. Instead, Whyte tested positive for a banned substance and Anthony Joshua is fighting late substitute Robert Helenius instead. Does Helenius have a chance at all? Is it even worth tuning into? I think if you're into heavyweights, it's perhaps worth having a look because there's an interesting fight on the undercard, on the main supporting bout. If you're interested to hear more about Saturday night on DAZN, the big heavyweight night, then stay tuned. Reality check. I was sort of in the middle, kind of into the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. Was an okay fight for me, but that's a moot point now because it's not happening. Whyte was the guy who first gave Anthony Joshua a wobble years back before Joshua was champion, just before he became champion, and had him wobbling, and then Joshua knocked him out. And I feel Whyte is sort of past his sell-by date slightly. You know, he's still a legit heavyweight contender, so it would have been a decent matchup, but ifs and buts and fruits and nuts, as I say. Now we have Whyte popping positive for a substance. He's had that early in his career. He had that after the Oscar Rivas fight. Unless he proves he's innocent somehow now, I'm no PED expert, then really I think it's the end of his career and he should face a lifetime ban if it is indeed positive. But anyway, that leaves us in a difficult situation, and now Anthony Joshua is facing the Nordic nightmare, Robert Helenius. Now, the last time we saw Helenius on a big stage was when he got starched inside one round by Deontay Wilder. Now, since then, he has fought a countryman by the name of Mikko Melonen, if I say the name right, who was a heavyweight that was undefeated, but he was only 6-0, so he was a novice. And he started doing the funny dance as soon as Helenius connected. So at least he's a win back in the win column. That was a few weeks ago. So he should still be reasonably fresh and at least be in kind of shape. But is this a mismatch? Is it worth tuning into? Well, just hang on. Let's just cover the Joshua quite quickly. I think Robert Helenius is slightly taller than Anthony Joshua, but Joshua's got a slight edge in reach. So the size thing is not going to really be a thing. I think Helenius was once a hot heavyweight contender back in 2011 when he had wins over guys like Raymond Brewster, Sergey Lakovic and Samuel Peters, some then still decent ex-champions. But he's fallen by the wayside. In 2021, he sort of resurrected his career, scoring two big upset stoppage victories over undefeated then Adam Kovnaski. And that landed him a Wilder fight, but the thing is, there's levels to this game, and Adam Kovnaski and Anthony Joshua, they are levels apart. So I don't think Robert Helenius can do it here in the same way. Does he have a chance at all? Well, he's 39 years old now. He hasn't got the boxing skills, I think, to outbox Anthony Joshua. Oh, he's going to get caught at some point. He does still have power. That's the one hope that Helenius has got. He's got big power, especially in his left hand. And we all know Anthony Joshua's chin isn't made of iron. So Helenius' best bet is to go for broke and wing it and try and nail Joshua and knock him out, because he does have a power, but he doesn't have a punch resistance. And my feeling is, you know, Anthony Joshua, you're not going to knock him out with one shot. You know, unless maybe you're Deontay Wilder, and there's only one Deontay Wilder. So I think Joshua has got good boxing skills. The only people with better boxing skills in the heavyweight division are Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. And then he's got he's got very good power. The only one with more power, maybe with one shot, is Deontay Wilder. So Anthony Joshua still has one of the best, arguably one of the best resumes at heavyweight, and I just think he's going to take Helenius out the first time he hits him properly. And when will that be? I don't think it's going to be in one round like Wilder, because Anthony Joshua, as we've seen now, he doesn't really go for broke the way he used to since he's lost to Andy Ruiz. He outboxed Ruiz, even against Kubrat Pulev. He could have taken him out earlier, but he was careful to be careful and not to run out of gas. And so I think he'll be careful. That is his fighter's mentality now. He's turning into more of a boxer. He doesn't want to go and seek and destroy too much. But I think he really can't afford to lose, because that'll be the end for him. And he really can't afford to let Helenius go the distance. So I think he'll be careful about how he goes after Helenius. But I think between 3 and 4 rounds, Helenius is out of there and Anthony Joshua will have his hands raised. So glass half full. At least they didn't pick Derek Chisora from the undercard and made him fight Joshua. None of us want to see Derek Chisora get hurt anymore. You know, he took a beating against Tyson Fury. He's facing only Gerald Washington, the guy who can't really punch, who doesn't take a punch well. You know, so if he's going to fight, that's probably the right fight for him. So thank the heavens, Chisora is at least not fighting Anthony Joshua. But then glass half empty. I don't know if you guys remember way back then, Lennox Lewis was going to, in his last fight, face Kirk Johnson. And that fight fell through. Something happened to Johnson. I can't remember if it was an injury or something else. And then came in as a last substitute, Vitaly Klitschko. So the substitute was actually much, much better than the original matchup. And I was I'm not going to even say hoping, I was going to say I was fantasizing that maybe they're going to put Robert Hrgovic from the undercard and put him in against Joshua. That would have been something really interesting. But of course, I'm not naive. That's not going to happen. But that's why I'm tuning into Saturday night. One likes to see the heavyweights throw down. I think even with Derek Chisora and Gerald Washington, you're going to see a stoppage. I think my money is on Del Boy scoring a win. And we've got a heavyweight prospect 9-0, Johnny Fisher, who's just sort of building his record. We've got Campbell Hatton, Ricky Hatton's boy. But we have a fight between 2 undefeated heavyweights. The mandatory IBF contender, Robert Hrgovic, the Croatian, is fighting another undefeated fighter from down under from Australia, Demsey McKean. Now, when we had that bunch of young heavyweights, Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce, and then we had Tony Yoka from France, and we also had Frank Sanchez, who's still undefeated, whatever happened to him, and F.A. Ajagba, all these young heavyweights, and among them were Robert Hrgovic. And I always thought he was a dark horse of a division, but he struggled to get big fights. But in his last fight, he went life and death with Zhang Zhilei, the Chinese heavyweight, and he just squeaked home a decision in a fight that was a really good war. And then I thought, but now Zhilei Zhang, or Zhang Zhilei, I think in China it's the other way around, upset Joe Joyce. So Zhang is maybe one of those heavyweights that's just much better than he looks. He's a heavy-handed guy and a tough guy. So will Demsey McKean, who's now 22-0, have a chance to upset Robert Hrgovic? I think he's a live dog in the fight. If we look at Demsey McKean, he hasn't really fought anybody, so he's throwing down the gauntlet here. He is good on his feet. He likes bouncing on his feet, moving this way, moving that way. He uses his southpaw jab, and then he throws in the straight left from a southpaw stance, and sometimes also a sort of a sweeping left hook, left uppercut, also from that southpaw stance as his second hand. And he's got enough power to hurt the sort of journeyman gatekeeper types. His best win was a 10th round stoppage over Jonathan Rice, who's a bit of an in and outer. We know he's a guy who can spring an upset now and then. And he was actually wobbling in the 10th round and taking right hand after right hand from Rice. And then we were sort of a clinch and suddenly put it together and he knocked out Jonathan Rice. So that's a good win for him. And since then, we've seen him against sort of journeyman types like Bracamonte there in a DAZN card. And he looks decent. He's a decent heavyweight. As I've said, good foot speed, good hand speed. He's definitely quicker than Zhang is. But I don't think he's got the heavy hands of Zhang. And we don't really know if he will take a punch from Robert Hrgovic. So I think this will be interesting while it lasts. But I think Hrgovic, the one hope that Demsey McKean can have here is Zhang was a southpaw. And so is Demsey McKean. So that might be something that bothers Philip Hrgovic. But I'm not quite sure if it was the southpaw stance of Zhang that bothered Hrgovic. I think it was more of the fact that Zhang is like a wall. You know, Hrgovic was teeing off on him and then Zhang came right back. And I think and he even scored a knockdown. I think that is what flustered Philip Hrgovic. He stood too long in the pocket because he's used to knocking guys over. And when that didn't happen, he started taking shots in between. And that threw him off. So if I look at Demsey McKean, if I look at his facial structure, if I saw how he reacted to the right hands against Jonathan Rice, that was quite a few fights ago. I don't think he's got the chin of Zhang Zhilei. I don't think he's got the heavy hands of Zhang Zhilei. I think power is a little bit of a problem for him there at this level. I don't think he's going to be able to hurt Philip Hrgovic. If we look at power and how important at least a certain level of power is in the heavyweight division, look at Jermaine Franklin. He gave very good efforts against both Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua, and he couldn't hurt them. But he's got a very good chin, so I think he's going to give a lot of heavyweights lots of trouble in his career going forward. But he doesn't have a power to keep them honest, to make them think twice, and I think that will be his downfall, what will keep him winning from the top level. And I wonder if Demsey McKean's got the chin of Jermaine Franklin. You know, I'm not a physician, but if I look at their physiques, how they're sort of put together, certain physiques are sometimes more capable of taking punishment, and that's the thing of a squat guy like Jermaine Franklin. I think a more tall, lean and mean guy with a sort of a tapering jaw like Demsey McKean, I don't think he's going to take it as well. So what I'm thinking happens with Philip Hrgovic and Demsey McKean, I think McKean will do all right for a while, you know, but Philip Hrgovic has got great combinations. Against Zhang, he stood in the pocket too long. I think McKean will nail him with a straight left now and then, but I don't think he's going to be able to hurt Philip Hrgovic. And if I see Demsey McKean under pressure in that Jonathan Rice fight, he tries to hold or fall in and then he starts making mistakes and he's getting flustered. He hasn't since been under that kind of pressure again in his last fight against Korte, German heavyweight. He also looked a little bit flustered when he was under pressure, and Hrgovic is going to put him under pressure. So I don't think his feet and his boxing skills is quite good enough to box circles around Philip Hrgovic. I think he's going to get nailed like he got nailed sometimes in his other fights, especially with a straight right. And my gut feel is he's not going to be able to take it from Philip Hrgovic. So I think Philip Hrgovic will win that fight by TKO in about between 6 and 8 rounds or so. So I'm going for Philip Hrgovic in that fight. And that's what I think about the big night at the O2 Arena. Tell me, do you think Robert Helenius has a chance? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think of Philip Hrgovic and Demsey McKean? And what do you think about the heavyweight division? Because, it's not been nice this year, you know. Fury fighting Francis Ngannou, MMA guy. I'm not interested in that sort of fights. I don't know if you are, if it's even a fight or an exhibition. We've got Joshua. It's not his fault that White popped positive, but we don't have things like Joshua and Wilder happening. We can't even get Wilder against Ruiz, against Andy Ruiz, mate. So the heavyweight division has been really poor this year. Right, we got the rematch between Zhang and Joe Joyce. That's maybe something to look forward to. But at the top level, you know, Usyk is defending against Dubois. What we really want to see is Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk for all the marbles, or at least Fury against AJ, or maybe AJ against Wilder. I don't really want to see a fourth fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, but I would like to see Deontay Wilder against everybody else. So the heavyweight division has been disappointing. Tell me if you agree in the comment section. Rant over. So that's it from me. So please, guys, punch that thumbs up, punch the like button. I always greatly appreciate that. And consider subscribing. And until we see each other again, remember to keep those hands up.